Donald Trump, during his recent interview on Fox News, also brought up the protests against police brutality. And after weeks of the protesters making clear what it is that they're fighting for in a number of different venues and having representatives ready to talk to politicians, members of the media, Fox could have them on if they wanted to. This is what Donald Trump's takeaway from the protests is.
Well, that's true. The protests, I mean, the protesters and anarchists and terrorists and looters and all of the people that were marching on various locations over the last couple of weeks, that's died down. They've lost some energy. That's good. But because many of them don't even know what they're protesting, frankly.
Don't know what they're protesting.
You know what's funny is, above all of this, is that Donald Trump, who's always talking about fake news, does an interview with Sean Hannity, who's not a real journalist. Mm-hmm. And people are like calling people who went to college for journalism and have degrees in journalism and have been practicing and studying journalism for years. Those are the fake news people. That makes me laugh. The funny thing is that when they showed the video of the protest, it's funny because those were the people that were protesting on Black Lives Matter Plaza, which feeds my soul and makes me so happy. he, you know, Bunker Boy had to hide out on Black Lives Matter Plaza. But, you know, the truth is that, remember when he talked about his inauguration, or when he talks, you can tell when Donald Trump is saying something that he knows is a lie, and he's like, honestly, they don't really know what they're protesting. Like that's when he was saying, and that the numbers are dwindling. Like when he said that there were a lot of people at the inauguration because his imagination is grand. It's just so funny to me to hear him say that, and that they don't know what they're protesting is because he's never had to stand for anything in life. Yeah. So he doesn't understand what people on the ground who are working and have to actually fight for the rights of their lives, what they're doing. So of course he's going to say they don't even know what they're protesting, because he doesn't know what they're protesting, because he's never ever had to take a stand for anything. So he has to take these fake stands like the Central Park Five, or, you know, immigrants are rapists and murderers, because he's the epitome and the symbol of mediocrity. And this whole anti-intellect thing, calling people smug and all of this stuff, it just comes from people who feel bad about themselves because they're ignorant. And, you know, I know that sounds very humanistic, and, you know, people want to just say, you know what, F that guy. But the truth is that Donald Trump is a sad, lonely, hurt individual, which is why he uses his mouth to hurt people. He called Rosie O'Donnell a pig. So hurt people. And that's who you dummies chose as the leader of the free world.
Yeah.
And you know who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, they chose him to be president. They apparently watched Sean Hannity, you know, an old school journalist who, I swear, started that interview by saying, over the past 3 years, I don't think anyone in the world has had as hard a job as you, Donald Trump. That's what a tough journalist says. But anyway, yeah, and the thing is, unfortunately, most of the people watching that interview probably also couldn't articulate what the protests are about because they watch Fox News, and Fox News has told them from the very beginning, oh, it's just Antifa. It's just terrorists. And Trump called those protesters terrorists right there. And so, I don't know, I do think it's difficult for people who have not been exposed to at least a little bit of the undeniable videos of barbaric police brutality. But we'll see. I only want to read one other comment from Donald Trump, and that was something that came out of a Wall Street Journal interview. And so we've mentioned the fact, Ida gave a great response to the fact that Trump is holding his rally this Saturday in Tulsa, seemingly specifically to offend people. But this is what he had to say. I did something good. I made Juneteenth very famous. It's actually an important event, an important time, but nobody had ever heard of it.
And that's why, you know what, I can't get mad anymore, because it's like Lord of the Flies. I keep saying Lord of the Flies. It's my motif for the day. It's the kill piggy guy. But you're talking about somebody who called for the execution of 5 Black and brown boys in New York.
Yep.
You know, they have all these issues with their housing issues in New York. You talk about a man who has, you know, both good people on both sides. So when he didn't know what Juneteenth was.
Nope.
3 months ago. And the fact that, the funny thing was the anniversary of the Black Wall Street massacre was right around the George Floyd case. Mm-hmm. And it had been 30 years to the day that we dealt with that. And so that everybody started tweeting about that, everybody started talking about it and about writing about it. So now you tell me that you want to hold your rally at the very place where that happened. Who are you talking to?
Yeah, we know.
Come on.
Yeah, what other reason did you choose Tulsa for? No offense, Tulsa. Why did you choose? You know exactly why you put it on that anniversary. Or maybe Trump didn't know, but Stephen Miller or one of the racists he's surrounded himself with has. I mean, again, in Jacksonville, the convention is going to be there, and it's being put on the anniversary of a KKK attack against civil rights protesters. And, there's a thing going around today about the Facebook ad that apparently has a symbol that's supposed to evoke the Nazi tattoo for political prisoners, socialists and communists and all of that. And we know what the point of all of this is. I don't know if Trump knows. Trump is a racist, but he's not an intellectual racist. He's not. No. He doesn't know the history of all of the catchphrases and the tattoos that the white supremacists will get. He's just a racist, but he has surrounded himself with people who just scheme day after day. How am I going to signal to neo-Nazis? A little wink, wink that we're here for you.
Well, you know what? They have to, John, because that's all they got left, right? That's all they got left, right? That when you double down and say, I'm calling on the skinheads and the KKK and the 3%ers and the Oath Keepers, when you have to double down and say, I got to call on these people, is because that's all you got left. Because there's nobody who is intelligent, human. And listen, and everybody knows, I don't sit around here. I'm not a poster child for the Democratic Party either, because I think white supremacy runs through all of it. Mm-hmm. But when we sit and have this conversation, he is doubling down and calling on the base and the people who he insults the most, the poor people who think that all they have to offer is their whiteness because they don't have anything else. They can't go to college. They don't have health care. They don't have, a reasonable wage. They're not living honorable lives because people like Donald Trump are seeing to it that they don't. But he's like, at least you're white. And that's what they did to the sharecroppers. And that's what they did back in the day to the, that's the history. The greatest mind screw of all time is telling somebody, at least you're whiter than them. Yeah. So that's who he's got to call on. Who else is going to show up for Donald Trump right now that is not going to be ashamed of it? Not anybody with good sense.
No, not anybody who values their life, even considering the coronavirus cases going up in Oklahoma. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.